I caught my reflection in the elevator's gleaming doors, straightening my designer blazer one last time. Tonight's family dinner wasn't just another forced gathering. It was the quiet before the storm they never saw coming. When the doors slid open on the 45th floor of the exclusive restaurant, I stepped out to see my family already gathered at their favorite table. Beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city glowed, unaware of the drama about to unfold. "Alexander, late again," my mother snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Beside her, my sister Victoria smirked, her perfectly manicured fingers curled around a glass of wine worth more than some people's rent. "Traffic," I replied calmly, taking my seat. The truth. I'd spent the past hour in my office, signing documents that would change everything. "At least you bothered to dress properly this time," my father said, giving my outfit a dismissive once-over. "Though I can't imagine how you afford it on a secretary's salary." I suppressed a laugh. They still thought I was a low-level assistant at a tiny firm. It amazed me how easily they clung to their illusions. "Speaking of real accomplishments," Victoria jumped in, "I just closed another major deal. Daddy, we're projecting a 40% revenue jump this quarter." Harrison Technologies, my father's life's work and Victoria's pride, had always been the family crown jewel. Or so they believed. "That's my girl," Dad beamed, raising his glass. "To the future CEO of Harrison Technologies." Mom joined in, throwing me a condescending glance. "At least one of our children knows how to succeed." I took a sip of water, letting their barbs pass through me. 5 years ago, their words would have broken me. Back then, I still craved their approval. "You know, Alexandra," Victoria said, leaning forward with a mock-sincere smile, "maybe I can find you something at the company. Mail room, perhaps? You could work your way up, if you don't screw that up too." "How generous of you, Victoria," Dad chuckled. "Though she'd probably fail at that too. Remember that ridiculous expansion plan she suggested years ago?" "Oh yes," Mom chimed in. "The plan everyone laughed at, until Victoria presented the exact same thing 6 months later and received a standing ovation." Dad shook his head, disappointment oozing from every word. "You're nothing but a failure. While your sister excels, you can't even keep a basic job." Mom nodded. "At least we have one daughter to be proud of." The waiter arrived with our appetizers, briefly pausing the onslaught. Victoria launched into another story about her latest business conquest, our parents hanging on every word. I glanced at my phone. A new message from my lawyer. "All set. Documents filed. Perfect." "Actually," I said, reaching into my bag, "I wanted to talk about the company." Victoria rolled her eyes. "Please don't tell me this is another of your amateur pitches." I set a thick envelope on the table. "No, Vicky. I'm here to discuss the acquisition." Dad frowned. "What acquisition?" "The one finalized an hour ago." I slid the papers toward them. "You really should read the fine print of those investment offers you've been so eager to sign these past 2 years." Victoria snatched up the documents, her face draining of color with each line she read. Mom leaned closer, her confusion quickly shifting into horror. This can't be real," Victoria whispered. But it was. Every detail spelled out, legal and binding. Over the past 2 years, I'd quietly acquired shares through my holding company, Phoenix Enterprises, until I controlled 51% of Harrison Technologies. "You?" Dad's voice trembled. "You're the CEO of Phoenix Enterprises." I smiled, finally tasting the moment I'd waited for all these years. I smiled, savoring the moment I had spent 5 years building toward. "About that company you all think Victoria runs so brilliantly." Silence swallowed the table. Victoria's manicured nails crumpled the acquisition papers in her shaking hands. My mother's wine glass hovered mid-air, forgotten. My father's face turned an alarming shade of red. "This is impossible," he finally choked out. "Phoenix Enterprises, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. They've been buying tech firms across 3 continents. I took another calm sip of water, letting their disbelief hang heavy. Remember when you all laughed at my expansion plan? The one Victoria presented 6 months later as her own? That was mine. Victoria's voice cracked as she tried to recover. Was it really? I raised an eyebrow. Or did Johnson from R&D hand it to you? The same Johnson who's been helping you come up with those brilliant ideas for the last 3 years. Her face went ghostly. She knew. Johnson works for you, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I nodded. Half your executive team works for me. Did you really think you were that innovative on your own? My mother finally found her voice, though it trembled with rage. You've been spying on us, your own family? No, Mother. I've been protecting my investment. The same way you protected the family legacy by giving everything to Victoria and leaving me out. I pulled another document from my bag and slid it across the table. Speaking of your legacy, let's discuss the Morton contract Victoria bragged about closing last week. My father snatched up the document, scanning it quickly. His eyes went wide. This says we're losing millions on that deal. But Victoria said whatever her assistant told her to, I interrupted. She never reads the fine print. She's too busy taking credit for work she never did. Victoria pushed back from the table, her chair screeching against the floor. Heads turned, but she didn't notice. You're lying. This is all some elaborate setup. Check your phone, I replied coolly. The press release just went out. Right on cue, all their phones buzzed with notifications. Their screens lit up with headlines. Phoenix Enterprises acquires Harrison Technologies. Tech empire expands under silent visionary. Alexandra Harrison, the powerhouse behind Phoenix Enterprises. 5 years, I continued, my voice steady and clear. 5 years of building from the ground up. No handouts, no family name propping me up. Just hard work. The kind you all said I wasn't capable of. Why? My father's voice cracked, small and defeated. Why would you do this? I stood, smoothing my blazer. Because you never gave me a chance. You handed everything to Victoria without question. When I tried to prove myself, you mocked me. You called me worthless. I looked around the table one last time. The board meeting is at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Have all financial records ready for review. And Victoria, I turned to her, frozen in her chair, her eyes hollow. Clear out your office by noon. Johnson will be stepping in as COO. You can't do this, my mother said, her voice thin and desperate. We're family. I let out a soft laugh. Family. You lost the right to use that word years ago. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an empire to run. I turned toward the elevator but paused. Oh, and Dad, remember your comment about my blazer? You were right. It was expensive. But when you own one of the fastest growing tech companies in the world, you can afford the best. As I walked away, I felt their stunned stares drilling into my back. But for the first time, their opinions meant nothing. I had built what they believed impossible. And now, they worked for me. The elevator doors slid open. I stepped inside, catching one last glimpse of their shocked faces before the doors closed. My phone buzzed. A message from my lawyer. Board notified. Transition in motion. I smiled. This was just the beginning. The next morning, I arrived at our headquarters at precisely 8:30 a.m. The lobby hummed with nervous energy. Employees whispered, stealing glances as I passed. News travels fast in the corporate world. And now, they knew exactly who was in charge. My heels echoed sharply against the marble floor as I walked toward what used to be Victoria's office. Through the glass walls, I saw her frantically shoving things into boxes. Her once perfect hair was now a tangled mess. Her designer dress, wrinkled and stained with tears. Need a hand? I asked, leaning casually against the doorframe. She spun around, mascara streaking down her cheeks. You're here to gloat. Actually, I said, holding out an envelope, I came to give you this. She ripped it open, confusion clouding her face. A job offer? Entry level. In Phoenix's development department? You expect me to. No special treatment. No shortcuts. A chance to start from the bottom. The chance I was never given. Why would you do this? She whispered. Because I know what it means to earn success, I replied. Something you've never learned. Before she could speak, shouting erupted in the hallway. Our parents had arrived, and they weren't alone. My father stormed in, followed closely by his friend and longtime attorney, Martin. This acquisition is illegal. Dad roared, waving a stack of papers. Martin found irregularities. We'll sue you for everything. I tilted my head and pulled out my phone. Martin, I called. How's your daughter's tech startup? Martin froze, the blood draining from his face. The one Phoenix Enterprises saved from bankruptcy last quarter, I continued, smiling. It'd be a shame if that investment vanished overnight. Martin swallowed hard. I may have misinterpreted the paperwork, he stammered. The acquisition is completely legal. My mother stepped forward, her voice suddenly syrupy. Sweetheart, let's not do this. We're family. We can work something out together. Stop. I didn't have to raise my voice. It was enough. For 27 years, you didn't treat me like family. I was the disappointment, the mistake, the worthless daughter. Well, that worthless daughter now owns everything you took pride in. I turned toward the employees who had gathered outside, eyes wide with curiosity and hope. There will be changes, but not the kind you fear. No layoffs, no slashing budgets. We're moving forward with the expansion plan I proposed 3 years ago, the same plan they laughed at. The one that would have doubled your salaries and benefits. Gasps and murmurs of relief rippled through the crowd. Victoria sank into her chair, realization washing over her face. And one more thing, I said, glancing at Johnson. He stepped forward, holding a thick folder. These are detailed records of every idea Victoria stole, every project she claimed, every bonus she pocketed for work that wasn't hers. The board will find them enlightening. You're destroying our family, Dad choked out. No, I said quietly. You destroyed it years ago. I'm just building something better from the ashes. That afternoon, I sat in my new office. My office, overlooking the city. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Dinner tonight. We should talk. Victoria. I paused, then typed. Starting salary includes a lunch allowance. Use it. Welcome to earning your way. A second message popped up. This time, from Mom. We were wrong about you. Please give us another chance. I didn't bother opening it. As the sun dipped behind the skyline, Johnson knocked. The board approved everything, he said. We start next week. Perfect. I stood, smiling. Oh, and Johnson, make sure Victoria starts in customer service. Let her learn what real work feels like. I gathered my things and glanced at my reflection in the window. No longer the invisible daughter, no longer the family embarrassment. Now, I was Alexandra Harrison, CEO of Phoenix Enterprises and Harrison Technologies. Success, I had learned, isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. I stepped into the elevator, remembering last night's dinner, how they all believed they were untouchable, how they thought their thrones were secure. That's the thing about success. It doesn't scream, it builds quietly, patiently. Until one day you realize, sitting at that same family table, that the worthless daughter is now the one signing your paychecks.